G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another garage video. Today, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about the fuel economy, and I've reached the end of this tank, and as you can probably tell by the title of this video, I've set a new record. So I really think it is part of the 6-speed. I did have this same setup with nothing has changed engine wise majorly, except for the radiator cooling panel, which isn't even a big deal. For my fuel economy setup, going from the 58 to the T56, and yeah, I'm really impressed where it's at. What I'll do, well, actually, just for proof, if you've been following my Instagram stories, you would have seen my progress through this tank of fuel. And it's a 60 litre tank, and I've brimmed it to 63 litres, so I filled it up all the way to the brim. And yeah, which is what I did the last time I did a fuel economy test. So, and that was with the 58, and we'll get into that, but I'll just quickly show you for proof where we're at. Stand by. So, we're currently at 637.4 kilometres, which is unbelievably good. Which also, I haven't, for the first half of this tank, I really drove it softly, but for the second half, on my journey back from where I was coming from, I decided to change my mind, and I gave it a few. First, I slowed down on the highway first through Fourth, like top of Fourth red line runs. So if anyone knows where the top of Fourth gets you in, especially with a Tramic, it's a serious number. So you can literally watch the fuel gauge just drop when you do that. So I did that 5 times, and then I did a slow roll on from second through Fourth as well. So that's 6 times through the gears. And I did drive it around town, my local town, a little bit, and I didn't crack gate, but I did get it onto boost, but no more than like 10 psi, or maybe 5 to 10 psi, just to dose and show off, as you do in the Supra. So my fuel light did come on, but it's actually off now. It barely just came on as I was coming home. I was about 800 metres from home, and the light just faded on. But now that I'm on a level bit of ground, I don't have fuel light anymore, and I'm still above E, which means, and I know for a fact, because I've done some serious road trips in this, and I know when fuel light is solidly on, you have at least 40 kilometres left in your fuel tank. So you can add that 40 kilometres onto that 637. Let's call it 640. So that's 680 kilometres with a little bit of hard driving in there. And I'm still not quite completely on fuel light. So the reason I know that is because I did do a drive up north into outback Australia. And the last servo I was going to stop in and put some fuel in many years ago with this same setup was actually closed down permanently, and Google Maps had let me down. So I had to continue driving another 60 kilometres to the town I was going to, which is Dysart in Queensland, Dysart, if you want to look that up. And I made it, and I was the needle was well into the E there. Like it was on the second line of the E. So we can guarantee where we're at here that this is going to crack. And when that was happening, I was actually, before I get into that, I was more worried about not running out of fuel in the outback and being stuck for ages, but actually running my fuel pump dry and causing any issues. But I made it to the town, and it was all good, and I got to a service station. But you can guarantee that I'll be making well over 680 kilometres on fuel light. well, on where this is now, so which is a guaranteed another 50 kilometers. And then when I'm really into it, it's going to crack 700 with this driving that I've added into it, getting it really onto boost and sucking the fuel. So I thought that'd be a more realistic test, right? So 700 kilometers out of a tank wouldn't be unheard of on 98 with 440cc injectors, a precision 60-62 running at a maximum boost here, which I've hit today at 13.4. So, and that's at the turbo, not at the manifold. And the manifold sees a little bit of a higher on the boost gauge. This is hooked up to the manifold. That sees 14 pound, and this one is slightly less because it reads it early. But yeah, I'm really, really impressed. I can almost guarantee, like, the closest service station to me is about 40 kilometers away, and I have no fear of making it to that service station with this amount of fuel, because I'm not even on fuel light. And so there's another 40 k's there, so 680 kilometers with included hard driving is seriously impressive. I think if I didn't do any hard driving or wind it through the gears and do what I did, 750 to 760 wouldn't be an unrealistic number that I've got out of this car. Now, if there's a reason I think that that's a very big deal. And I did notice it when I had worse fuel economy when I had the standard twin turbo set up, because it was getting onto boost early, and obviously the turbos were using more fuel while it was onto boost. But now I've got this really free breathing, I've got a 9-inch K&N with a 4-inch inlet. I've got a 3-inch fly, like straight through exhaust. I've got a 4-inch Canon, new head. Everything's breathing really easily. I think that really helped the whole situation. Now, this turbo, I've said in a previous video, isn't as laggy as the twins were in TTC mode, because it's a brand new, new at the time, a few years ago, billet precision 62-62. So it's very responsive. I'm not going for all out power, so it's good for very street driving. And that's really helped with the economy, because it still helps air into the engine without being too big and whatnot. So yeah, 700. I did estimate 714 if you followed my Instagram story, which is very realistic. It was probably going to be more than that if I did nothing but pure nanny driving. And that's a new record, because the 58, the W58 gearbox that I did have in this, it sat at 110 kilometers an hour at about 3.2, whereas the T56 will sit at about 2.2 in 6th gear, which is the sweet spot, and you can sort of play with where the boost is underneath, force, positive pressure. So it's still like -5 psi, but the turbo's helping air into the engine, and it's really helping it out, which is very impressive. Now, my daily, which I'll show you, is, if I can open my garage door here, I have a 2006 very good condition Subaru Forester. You might have to turn the light on here. There we go. So this guy here is a 2.5 litre automatic, totally stock, very good condition. It's Subaru Forester. It's a horizontally opposed 4, but the engine's only 500cc smaller than this. This gets way worse fuel economy than this does. And there's one reason: weight. This weighs 400 kilos more than that does. So that's the big deal with the fuel economy. Like four-wheel drives and all-wheel drives and big SUVs and things like that, they're no good for fuel economy because they weigh so much, right? But if you've got a lightweight car, especially something with a little bit of torque like these do, and it's turbocharged and it helps the engine flow well, you are going to get better fuel economy, which is what car manufacturers do these days. They do add small turbos to small cars, and it helps them out, as long as you keep them off boost. But none of them come with boost gauges, so you can really see and control your right foot to get it in that perfect sweet spot to help with fuel economy if you are doing something like that. Now, if I drove this just purely, that was basically all highway. If I drove this all city sort of driving and gave it a hard time, I'd be pushing 550 kilometers out of a tank, that'd be 550, maybe 580 kilometers. But here we are at an easy 680 kilometers guaranteed. Like, just for me to get to the servo from here, from my house, is another 30 kilometers. So I'm guaranteed 670 before I go and put fuel in it. And that's amazing, especially for a car of this caliber with, these tyres and how much power it makes. It really determines, the right foot really determines on what you're going to get out of fuel economy. My only hope is when I do change to go to more power and just get the bigger fuel system, the bigger injectors, so I'm only going to go 750cc injectors, that hopefully the Haltech can sort of keep me in that above 600 range if I'm not driving it hard. So it should be able to do it mathematically and theoretically. A bunch of 750 cc injectors going for 600 or 600 plus horsepower, 650 horsepower. I should be able to still maintain pretty good fuel economy in the long run. So, but the real difference will be is when I do get into it with that amount of power, I'm going to really lose out and it's going to chew the fuel. So, but I'm hoping with normal driving, it should sort of be in that same ballpark, maybe, depending on how good new injectors are. I don't know. I've got to see. No one knows. It's got to be tested. So, but yeah, the 6-speed definitely does make a difference. It's about 40 Ks or 50 Ks better than the W58 was. So, well, actually, no, it was because when I was driving a Dysart with the W58, so it's about 80 Ks a difference going from a 5-speed to a 6-speed. So I get about an extra 80 kilometres out of a tank, now that I think about it. And that includes with this wing, because I didn't have that wing, which offers more drag. So the car's going to be fighting through the air harder, and that's with wide tyres as well. So, interesting thing. I'm very impressed. I'm actually kind of proud of myself to make it as efficient as possible, because efficiency equals power. If you can make something an efficient setup, you'll make more power with less hard work, so to speak. So I'm really happy with that. And as far as I know, I don't think there's any other Supra that I know of that competes with the fuel economy I get at the moment, and while making the power that I do. So impressive. Don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but it's totally possible. Like, anyone can do this with their it's turbo Supra. I'm just saying, like, this is a thing I didn't think would really be that much of a big deal, but actually it's really awesome, especially for someone like me that lives almost in the outback, and I need fuel economy to take it places. So yeah, thanks for watching. It's been fun doing this test, actually. A lot of restraint has had to be put in place for it, but yeah, hope you learnt something. Yeah, till next time. Cheers.